Good news, we got the pistons. Pistons, rings, gudgeon pins and clips. I'll just unwrap this one and see how it looks. Well, that's a good sign. The piston doesn't fit in there. That's got to be bored to take the pistons. Anyway, that's good. I didn't want it to fit. Well, I thought I'd finish repairing the head, but apparently these things in here, they're called choke plates. And a couple of the guys that watched my video helped me out there, David, and I just haven't got the other guy's name in front of me. I'm sorry, but will put it in. I've got to get these nuts out now. They don't look real good to me, and it's a pretty difficult little position. So we'll see what happens. Well, first I'll just try and get them out cold. So much for that. The first one snapped straight off. It's hard to see that focus, but yeah, I got one off. Put down there, yeah, whatever. Yeah, one's off. There's one. I can make a pattern out of that. Looks like it's made of aluminium actually. That's not steel. So I actually got 2 bolts out. Bloody miracle. That just needs to have a thread run through it and cleaned up. So that one snapped. I've got one to go. I'll see if I can somehow get that one off. Well, I've got 2 of them out. I'm going to try the old nut weld job. See if I can get these last 2 out. Yep, that method's not working. I mean, it looks like I'm going to have to drill them out. I don't like doing that, but you know, it's been in there nearly 60 years. It doesn't want to come out. I'm just wasting nuts trying to weld that on there. There's the remains of that. Doing the last hole. I've got them all out. These 2 original threads. That one and that one. This one I tapped. That one I was tapping. Bit of light. That end one there I was tapping and bloody tap snapped. So I managed to get it out. That's a 7.1 mil that hole. I'm going to have to get a bigger bolt for that. The rest of them are 6.1, 6 by 1. Anyway, I knew that would be a prick of a job, but it's done. These things here, looks like I can just make them. They're just made of aluminium. I'll just keep what's left of those as a pattern. And that's pretty simple. Anyway, that's done, thankfully. So I'm going to make these things next. Choke plates. I've got some 2 mil alloy here. It's about the same size. Pretty simple, just cut it out, drill a couple of holes in it. That one there, not much left of that. I'll have to measure it and do it like that. New choke plates, done and dusted. They'll work perfectly. That end bolt there, I had to put an M8 by 125 in it, but I'm going to get a smaller head. You can get those with a 12 mil head. That's a 14 mil head. But they're stainless bolts. They'll work fine. Actually, I just had a quick look. I've got 2 valve spring compressors, different types. None of them will fit this head. So I'm either going to have to make something or buy something. I might be able to use one of the ones I've got and make something that fits over it, and then it'll push it down so I can get those collets out. And you know, I'm going to need it to put it back together too. Like you can see where it's been corroding here. There's actually a little hole just there. I just noticed that. Where's the torch? Oh no, it's not a hole, but if it kept going it would have been a hole. Just in there. There's bad corrosion there. But it doesn't go right through. It's not actually a hole. Bad corrosion there. That's where all that white stuff's come from. Through here. But I'm going to run waterless coolant in this motor. It's very expensive, but it's way better. It doesn't boil till 200 Celsius. I've got one out. That's the exhaust valve. Just needs cleaning up. I'll start doing that. I'll just do them one at a time. It's actually got double valve springs, this motor. Everything on it's pretty cool. So what I use is this is my dad's old spring compressor I used to use on the Packards, but I had to put a bit of pipe there. I had to cut a bit of pipe to the length, and I'm going to have to get a longer pipe to take the inlet one off. So I have 2 different size bits of pipe and it will come off. It's a bit dodgy, but it did work. And the first thing I want to do is clean that damage up around the edge there on both sides. It's pretty ugly. I don't know how that's happened, but yeah, it's all daggy along here. It's not like that on the other cylinders. I'm going to try and clean all out through down into these ports. Get all them nice and clean. And, you know, see how much time I'm willing to spend on them. The exhaust ports you polish. The inlet ports you just clean and give them a good sand. You don't want them polished on the inlet because fuel can stick to it. That's just the way they do it. Well, that's roughly cleaned up. There's a little bit of steel jammed in there. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to smooth that more. That's my supporting kit I've got here. So I'm just going to clean up in here with this and go in, clean all these, clean that better, clean down in those, get all that cleaned, and then I'll work on these ports here, clean all them, and same with the exhaust. You know, I probably won't film much of it, but I'll show you when I've done it. That's about it. This camera doesn't like focusing. You see that casting line going down the centre there? I'll get rid of that. We'll see what happens. It's not too bad in there, but the front of it I've already cleaned up. You really want the exhaust ports nice and smooth. It makes a big difference. Camera doesn't really focus, but these are the inlet valves I'm pulling out first. I've got to get all that crap off them first. Clean the valves, then I'll clean out the ports, and then I'll grind the valves. Stupid camera won't really focus on it. Anyway, that's what they look like when they're cleaned. Blurry. Pretty hard to get that to focus on that, but this is the exhaust ports. The exhaust valves are a bit smaller. See how it's dirty on that edge? It's been leaking. That valve, it's been losing compression there for sure. Anyway, I'll clean this valve up, like all of them, and I'll mark that it needs extra grinding. So I started cleaning that. These are very dirty. It's going to make a huge difference cleaning these out and smoothing up these ports. Extremely dirty. This number one cylinder's detonated. It's had a violent explosion going on in there. This number two, what is it? Yeah, on the exhaust port. I can't get that, it's on the other side. Torch has gone on the blink. I can't get that bottom spring seat out. It's marked. That's the one of the valves marked a bit on the shaft. Anyway, it is what it is. If I can't get it out, I'll just leave it in there and wash it. These big long things, they can reach right down into the ports. I've got all different ones, but you've got to be careful because they can rip off a lot of material quick. You can definitely destroy a head doing this, so you've got to be very careful. Anyway, I've roughed that out. I've got all that daggy crap out of there where I want it. I'm not going to do any more with the heavy stuff. I'm going to go over that with sandpaper now. But I'll flip it over and do the exhaust. Okay, I've got all those cast lines out of there and cleaned it up. And now I'm going to go over it with this type of thing. I'll just use that old one first, but I've got all the new ones. That's another best part of a day on it. Anyway, it's got a couple of nasty bits on it, this head, but that's all we got, so we're going to be using it. It's coming up. I've got to do this bottom part of these ports here. I haven't got perfectly, well, not perfect, none of it's perfect, but I haven't got to this area here yet, but you know, I don't know really, that's the top of it, so I'll still do it. I'll just flip it over. Hard to see that, but that's done, but I've got to go over it with the next, that's with the coarse paper. I've got to go with the fine stuff now, and then they'll be getting a bit of a hand polish in there, those bits. And same as this side here, but yeah, they'll be just getting sanded with some light stuff. It turned out alright. You know, that number one cylinder has detonated. There's been a big explosion go off in that. But it's coming along. You just got to keep doing it. It's not a job you can do quick. And plus I busted the two little things that hold the sandpaper rolls. So they wear out quicker. The little tip bit broke off it. I've got to try and fix that. It's just chewing out that paper too fast. Anyway, tomorrow another day and it'll be close to done, maybe 2. So I've hit that there with the big Roops orbital sander twice, and I'll show you, I'll put this flat, perfectly flat thing there before. I've already done it, and I tried to get the smallest feeler gauge, you know, crossways, both ways and along. It's pretty flat, so it should be okay. Like it's not going to be a race car. It's not going to get driven to work. It's just going to be something that's going to get used on the weekend. So it should be fine. Well, I've worked trying to get valve grind these grinds down, these seats down to seal the valves. It's just not really working properly. That's why this thing didn't have any compression. The valves aren't sealing. You know, okay, one of those pistons was pretty stuffed, but I'm sure this is why it had hardly any compression. These valves aren't sealing. I'm going to take this head up to my mate. He hasn't gone away yet, and I just want to see what he suggests. I know you can. I don't know the angle of these seats. If I did, I could buy a tool and just cut that in. But I just want to get an expert to look at this head and get their opinion on it. I'm just going to have to go back to working on the body. I've got to finish the engine bay, the boot, get that ready for paint, and I've got to just get onto the chassis, get that going. I want to get that thing back together. It's starting to warm up here. I'm going to paint it soon. Anyway, this head's just, yeah, it's fixable. It's got a couple of little cracks in here, and like to weld that up with those steel pieces there would be a disaster. So that's why I've left it. But if they get pulled out, I will weld those up and redo these, re-machine these holes and thread them, finish the porting, which is coming up pretty good. And you know, also I think the valves need to be refaced. There is a machine, I'm sure he's got one. Now I just want to see what he would charge to recode this head. I just got back from the Gold Coast. My mate wasn't there. He must have left for last week, so he's away for a month. So this is getting put on hold for a month. I'm just going to start working on the other parts of the car. But there's more than one way to fix this. What I'm thinking of doing is you can get a thing that slots down into the valve guide, and then you just do it by hand, and that recuts the seat. That's one option. Do it on both, and reface the valves. Get them to seal. That's the cheapest way out. Give that a skim on the mill. But what I'd like to do, and it's not up to me because it's not my car, new valve seats, new valve guides, new valves, machine the head. While that's out, weld these cracks, redo that. That's the proper way to fix it. But I just don't think that's going to happen at the moment, so I'll just talk to Guy and see what he suggests. Originally, these are made of cast iron, these valve seats, and they're no good with unleaded fuel. I don't know if they've been replaced. They replace them with, I'm not 100% sure what the steel is they replace with, but it's definitely not cast iron. It might be some type of stainless or something, but he'll tell me if they've been replaced straight away by looking at them. So anyway, I'm just going to leave that for now. I'm going to start working on the chassis, and I want to get the engine bay and the boot prepped, ready for paint. That'll be over the next few weeks. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.